Chapter 7, verse 157 of the Holy Quran says, He enjoins them good and forbids them evil, and makes lawful to them the good things, and prohibits for them the impure things, and removes from them their burden and the shackles which were on them. So those who believe in Him and honour Him and help Him, and follow the light which has been sent down with Him, these are the successful. Last year in August, I gave a speech in which I showed that under Islamic guidance, smoking is haram or banned in Islam. But since that speech, I have been approached and emailed many times by people, mostly smokers, who have attempted to say that smoking is only frowned upon and not haram, and have given the reason that smoking is not explicitly mentioned in the Holy Quran, and therefore it's not forbidden. I've always been dumbfounded that people think that this is a valid attempt at justification, and I've been thinking about this for quite some time since that speech. And in this speech, I will look at this from a slightly different angle than I did in my speech last year, to show once again that smoking is 100% not allowed for Muslims. Now, I want to start off by discussing something which all Muslims agree is strictly forbidden in Islam, and that is the consumption of alcohol. In the Holy Quran, in chapter 2, verse 219, it says, They ask thee about intoxicants and games of chance. Say, in both of them is a great sin and some advantage for men, and their sin is greater than their advantage. So here, in this verse, we are being told that we are not allowed to consume intoxicants. And people understand this to mean consuming alcohol and drugs. And the verse then goes on to explain why. It says that the sin or disadvantages are greater than the advantages. So as an example of an advantage, diluted alcohol can be used to disinfect and sterilize things like medical instruments, or to disinfect skin, such as people using rubbing alcohol when they go to the hospital to visit somebody. But the disadvantages of alcohol are far worse, and worse than any good you might get out of it. So you might think that having a drink is fine because it makes you feel relaxed and takes away from the stresses of a hard day at work. And it may very well do that. But in doing so, what is the harm? What harm is it doing to you? Is the potential of liver damage worth feeling relaxed and free? So here, the Holy Quran says the harm is significantly worse and has therefore forbidden us from consuming it. So the Holy Quran has given us a general statement. It hasn't given a long list of all the types of things where we are not allowed, as that would be silly and impractical. It doesn't say, they ask thee about vodka and brandy and champagne and port and stout and beer, etc., etc. It simply says intoxicants and then gives the reason. So as Muslims, we have all understood this to mean that we are forbidden to drink any alcohol. And we have understood that despite the Holy Quran not explicitly using the word alcohol. So the way the Holy Quran works in these instances is to give us the general guidance that we can then apply to any inventions in the future for us to decide whether they are good things or bad things in line with the reasoning provided by the Holy Quran, i.e., does the harm outweigh any potential good? I started my speech by reading out a part of chapter 7, verse 157, which I'll read again. It says, He enjoins them good and forbids them evil, and makes lawful to them the good things, and prohibits for them impure things. So here again, it is saying that we are allowed to do the good things and forbids us those things which are evil. And as I said in my previous speech, when it says evil in this verse, this covers two things. Things which can harm you spiritually and those things that can harm you physically. It is once again giving us a general instruction which covers a plethora of things. And we are then tasked with applying this instruction sincerely to the action that we wish to take. So we need to look at the things we consume into our bodies and see how those things affect us. It's clear from the previous verse I read out and this verse that alcohol is bad for us and therefore it is evil, and we're instructed that if it's evil and its disadvantages outweigh the advantages, then it's forbidden. So we have two general rules given to us which we can use to decide what is allowed and what is forbidden. So now we understand the structure of how we decide what we can and cannot consume. Let's have a look at smoking. Every single cigarette you smoke is harmful. Smoking is the biggest cause of preventable deaths in England, accounting for more than 80,000 deaths each year. 1 in 2 smokers will die from a smoking-related disease. When you smoke, the toxins from cigarette smoke enter your blood. The toxins in your blood then make your blood thicker and increase the chances of clot formation, increase your blood pressure and heart rate, making your heart work harder than normal, narrow your arteries, reducing the amount of oxygen-rich blood circulating in your organs. Together, these changes to your body when you smoke increase the chance of your arteries narrowing and clots forming, which can cause a heart attack or a stroke. Smoking damages your heart and your blood circulation, increasing the risk of conditions such as heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, peripheral vascular disease, which are damaged blood vessels, or cerebrovascular disease, which are damaged arteries that supply blood to your brain. Carbon monoxide from the smoke and nicotine both put a strain on the heart by making it work faster. They also increase the risk of blood clots. Other chemicals in cigarette smoke damage the lining of your arteries, leading to furring of the arteries. In fact, smoking doubles your risk of having a heart attack. And if you smoke, you have twice the risk of dying from heart disease than lifetime non-smokers. Smoking reduces the amount of oxygen that gets to your skin. This means that if you smoke, your skin ages more quickly and looks grey and dull. The toxins in your body also cause cellulite. Smoking increases your risk of having a stroke by at least 50%, which can cause brain damage and death. And by smoking, you double your risk of dying from a stroke. Your lungs can be very badly affected by smoking. Coughs, colds, wheezing, and asthma, they're just the start. Smoking can cause fatal diseases such as pneumonia, emphysema, and lung cancer. Smoking causes 84% of deaths from lung cancer and 83% of deaths from chronic obstructive lung disease, including bronchitis. Smoking causes problems such as bad breath and stained teeth, and it can also cause gum disease and damage your sense of taste. The most serious damage smoking causes in your mouth and throat is an increased risk of cancer in your lips, tongue, throat, voice box, and gullet. Smoking causes testicular cancer. Up to 120,000 men from the UK in their 20s and 30s are impotent as a direct result of smoking. And men who smoke have a lower sperm count than those who are non-smokers. For women, smoking can reduce fertility. One study found that smokers were over 3 times more likely than non-smokers to have taken more than 1 year to conceive. The study estimated that the fertility of smoking women was 72% of that of non-smokers. Smoking also increases your risk of cervical cancer. People who smoke are less able to get rid of the HPV infection from the body, which can develop into cancer. Smoking while you're pregnant can lead to miscarriage, premature birth, stillbirth, and illness, and it increases the risk of cot death by at least 25%. Smoking can cause your bones to become weak and brittle, and women need to be especially careful as they are more likely to suffer from brittle bones, osteoporosis, than non-smokers. A long, long list. And I didn't even include everything I found from my research on the damage that smoking does to the body. I've not even touched upon the damage a smoker does to the people around him or her via passive smoking. So now we have the facts about smoking. Let's look at the two verses again. Are its disadvantages far worse than any advantage you may get by smoking? Yes. Is it evil in that it does you harm physically? Yes. Two yeses mean it is forbidden. The equation is very, very simple, and it is purposely made simple for us so that we do not have confusion on whether something is or isn't allowed. That is, of course, if you sincerely follow the rules. In my speech from last year, I went further and mentioned a few other verses to show even more evidence that Allah forbids us from consuming cigarettes. And if you'd like to see that speech, I will include a link to it in the description when this video is eventually uploaded to YouTube. If you, as a Muslim, have understood that drinking alcohol is forbidden, then as a Muslim you have to also understand that smoking is forbidden. This is absolute and conclusive evidence, if people need it, that smoking is not allowed by the word of Allah. And I would encourage any Muslims who smoke that rather than trying to justify your actions, that you work hard to quit the evil that is smoking to benefit yourself and those who are closest to you.